everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Julie Enzer, and I'm so pleased to welcome you to this evening's event. Before we begin, as is our custom, we spend a moment for a land acknowledgement. This moment is particularly potent at this time of continuing war in the Middle East. I'm mindful of the many layers of conflict in Israel and Palestine, many of us mourning the loss of life in Gaza as we continue to witness genocide and the recent attack on the World Kitchen truck. And at the same time, we all are still praying for the safe return of hostages. Occupation and war weigh on our minds, even as we celebrate the recent eclipse. As we pause for our land acknowledgement, I also want to ask us to raise up our voices for peace and ecological preservation. In the United States and around the world, many of us are on occupied, unceded land. I am in what is now Dover, Florida, traditional homelands and territories of the Seminole. I invite you to insert into the chat your location and acknowledge the land on which you live as we pause to recognize the histories of war and colonization and to imagine and work for a world where we have a fair and equitable distribution of resources and a world where we find ways to honor one another and live together in peace. I'm also going to mute everyone for a brief moment.
Say that again.
Thank you all so much. It really is wonderful to be here celebrating with you. We're coming to the end of our 23-24 season of events. And already I can assure you, I am cooking up exciting things that we will do next year, starting in August. We have one more event left this year, which I'll tell you a little bit about at the end. But first, let me tell you briefly about Sinister Wisdom. I know, looking at the faces and the people's names around this room, that many of you are familiar with Sinister Wisdom. We are a quarterly journal of lesbian literature and art. Sinister Wisdom was founded in 1976, which, if you're doing quick math, you realize we're just 2 years away now from celebrating our 50th anniversary. We've been publishing consistently since 1976. If you're not currently a subscriber, sign up for subscriptions today by going to sinisterwisdom.org/subscribe. In addition to our subscribers, a group of monthly sustainers are vital to Sinister Wisdom. If you can give monthly, I invite you to sign up as a sustainer at sinisterwisdom.org/sustainers. We send out emails every month when your monthly gift comes in with behind the scenes details and new information about what we have coming for the journal, and often what I'm reading before it even appears in the Sinister Wisdom snapshot. A few housekeeping notes. I've muted everyone's microphone. Please keep your microphone muted throughout the program. If I hear noise, we'll mute you on this end. There is an opportunity at the end. You can unmute and wave and cheer when we dance to the L word at the end of our program. As we move forward, if you want to show appreciation for readers, you can wave your hands at the end of each reading and use the reaction emojis on Zoom. Feel free to test those out now. Also, as I see many of you are doing, light up the chat on Zoom. Some of the best things in our events are happening in the chat, and we also share the chat transcript as well as the video recording of the events. If you need technical assistance this evening, making her first voyage as the technology guru and assistance person is Chloe. Chloe is on tap to help with technical assistance. You can private message her. As you know, we are recording the event this evening, and we will make it available starting tomorrow or Thursday at sinisterwisdom.org/SW132. I'm so excited about our program. We're celebrating this wonderful new issue of Sinister Wisdom with gorgeous artwork by Juliana Rico on the front and on the back. And the bulk of the issue was curated by Allison Blevins. So I'm going to invite Allison to start off this evening. Allison and I are going to talk a little bit about how this issue came together. And then we will work through our readers who will introduce to you as they appear. But first of all, Allison, before you and I talk, I wonder if you could start by reading a bit from your notes for the special issue.
Sure. I thought I would just read the first paragraph because I think it kind of sets us up for a little bit of what we're going to talk about. Shortly after my diagnosis with MS, my husband began transitioning. We were raising 3 children together, and our youngest was only a year old. We struggled, but our struggle was mostly with how to navigate my role as a disabled person. His transition was easy for me. I wasn't surprised because I knew he was unhappy, and I'd pushed for him to follow this new path. 2 years later, I wrote Cataloging Pain. The book is a hybrid collection that juxtaposes these two events. For both of us, my illness and his transition are woven together. This weaving is more like tangling at times. Occasionally, we are snarled. I don't know how to understand my body without his body because we've been shattered and remade together over and over. He has been the constant home where my body lands. I can't speak for my husband, but I hope I have been the same for him. For both of us, my identity has been a source of fear. We pass so well as a straight couple. This brings him a sense of peace and me confusion. My lesbian identity has been a major part of my life since coming out at 17. So most of my struggle has been with understanding how I continue to fit in our community and how to reconcile identity with perception.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Allison. Will you tell folks how we met and kind of negotiated this issue happening?
Sure. We met at Saints and Sinners in New Orleans. And if you haven't been, it is the best time ever. It's in an amazing hotel right by beignets, right across the street from just incredible food and queer literature, just celebrating everything there is to celebrate about queer lit. And we were on a panel together, which made my heart about as happy as it could be, because you gave me what I say is my first like real publication when I was just kind of sending out work, and you took something that has been probably one of my favorite pieces of writing ever, and I think really motivated me to keep sending work out. So meeting you was a highlight of Saints and Sinners.
Nice. And I was so glad that you were interested in exploring this topic and willing to take this on. That was really great. Now, but there's a long time since your husband first transitioned. How old are your kids now? And do you want to talk a little bit about the landscape of your life today?
Sure. Gosh, our youngest is 6 now, so that puts into perspective kind of how long it's been. And our older 2 are a teen and preteen. So, I think part of what really precipitated this interest was that my lived experience, but that I had written this piece for my book. and it was an elegy. It was called Elegy for My Wife. And it was in cataloging pain, it's the fulcrum. It's where the book turns. I'm talking about my wife and she, and then on the next page after, it's in he and husband. But I had gotten some not great feedback about this piece, and I was struggling with how to write about this experience. And that's what you and I started talking about, and we thought, gosh, surely there's other people who are writing about this and talking about it, and we should be able to tell our stories in a way that also honors our partners too. And so I think, writing this book and even editing this issue has really been transformative for me in thinking about how I'm not alone, thinking about identity for both of us. Gosh, we've changed a lot. It's probably too much to to boil down, but I think we just keep getting in a better place.
Great. Tell us a little bit about the experience of editing it. How did you find other contributors? We're going to hear from some this evening, but will you talk a little bit about the process and how you approached it?
Sure. Well, we put out an open call, and I think that was fascinating because you think that writing's kind of a small community, and it is in many ways, but I got to meet lots of really amazing new people, and that you were able to put me in touch with one person, and then that person would say, oh, you got to meet this person, oh, I know this person, and that amazing, queer, I'm going to tap you, we're going to tap this person thing that we do, was just beautiful to see, because I didn't know even where to start looking. And I'm so grateful that my expanse, my horizon of queer writers has grown through this process.
Mhm. Yeah. And one of the earliest people you reached out to, of course, was Minnie Bruce. I feel like we should say a
Yeah.
couple things. You're going to read from her piece in this. I've heard from a number of people who've received copies of the issue, either through subscriptions or have ordered them individually. They said, I rushed to read the Minnie Bruce piece. And so I wonder if you would talk a little bit about your interactions with Minnie Bruce.
Uh, well, when you said we should contact Minnie Bruce, you did that like, oh, that's a movie star, but feeling. And when Minnie Bruce responded, you just you hear don't meet your heroes, but she was worth meeting. She was just so incredible, and the experience was amazing. And of course, we didn't know that this would be the, kind of the last publication of her work. And she should have been here reading tonight. And I think I think you always sort of wish that you had, maybe I should have asked these questions, or maybe I should have, done whatever. But it was incredible to meet her, and to have that honor of seeing her work in progress, and to sort of be let back into her and Leslie's life as intimately as we are in this piece. And it just, I think, reiterated for me the power that she had as a writer, that to pull you in and to hold you in these safe and intimate spaces. And um yeah, it was transformative for me to be able to work with her.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring her up, I think, for a couple reasons. One is, when Allison, you and I were talking about the issue very much, and we were thinking about this evening from the very first time when I said the date, like, let's check with Minnie Bruce to make sure she could be here. And she was so enthusiastically excited about it. So I
Yeah.
wanted to bring her into the room. I also want to say two kind of more administrative things for us all. People are asking in the chat, should the issues have arrived yet? The issues are all in the mail. We did my recollection from planning this is we did this a week earlier because isn't next week your birthday, Allison?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy early birthday
Thank
to
you.
you.
It's my fault.
No, it's perfect. This is the perfect night to do it. But the issues are in the mail. The mail house was a little delayed. They are wending their way to people. We do mail media mail. And I think that they all officially went out around April 1st. So it's just been 9 days. I haven't received mine yet in Florida, but people have told me, people have already emailed me after reading it. So I know it is getting out there. So that's the first thing. If it hasn't arrived yet, keep checking your mailboxes. If you don't have it by May 15th, email me and I will get a replacement copy to you. And the other thing I wanted to just say about Minnie Bruce is Sinister Wisdom is also reprinting S/HE. Minnie Bruce's really wonderful collection that is about her early experiences with her early experiences meeting Leslie and falling in love. And we were working on that when she passed away. So this has been very sad. My plan was that we would release the book on the first anniversary of her death in early July. And then small press distribution, our distributor collapsed. So we are regrouping, and I wanted to just say to everyone that that book is forthcoming. Everyone who's an active subscriber will receive it. Will it be in early June or early July? I am not sure. I will know more in the next couple of weeks as we get distribution issues sorted out, because I know many people are excited about this book being available and back in print and able to teach it and share it with people and keep her work going. So I wanted to also announce that here in our community. So Allison, you had the full manuscript together. You emailed it to me, and we didn't have a title for it. We were kind of, I feel like we were sort of hemming and hawing about it. In my notes, it's always like the trans partners issue, which I felt like wasn't the right kind of title. Will you talk a little bit about how we came to the title, which brings us to our next reader?
Sure. Yeah, I think we'd gone back and forth and we just weren't really excited about anything. And I'm not sure which one of us suggested it, but we just said, why don't we just use Mary's title? That's right. That's what we're talking about here. And it seemed like we should have just realized.
Yeah, so Mary's title, How Can a Woman Who is with a Trans Man Call Herself a Lesbian? Is the official title. We also shortened it on the back to How Can a Woman? And I think one of the things that we really loved about it, we won't, and I hope we don't make Mary blush, is how, to me, the phraseology both captures a little bit of the outrage that's a part of our lesbian community that people have, and also captures some of the inner pain and turmoil I think that people experience when they're with a partner who is transitioning. So for me, the phrase itself carried so much vital emotional weight that it was really, and then we asked Mary and she agreed that we could use it as a title. It just felt like such an honor. And because that was something that I wanted this issue to do, is open up some of the emotional space here so that we could all share in it together. So thank you, Allison, and welcome, Mary. This is a big year. I will say this is a big year for Mary. At Sinister Wisdom, I'm going to tease our fall issue, which is a celebration of the journal Common Lives, Lesbian Lives. And Mary has a piece in that issue as well and was a member of the Common Lives, Lesbian Lives collective for a spell and is still, right, Mary, you're still in Iowa City, right?
I am. I am.
Yes. So, Mary, we've dropped your bio into the chat. Will you read to us from your piece in this issue?
I am very happy and honored to, and thanks for your kind words about the title, and thanks to you and Allison for putting this together. How can a woman who is with a trans man call herself a lesbian? Maybe she wonders the same thing herself. Maybe she wants to drive that question right out of her head, because maybe some 20 years ago, back when she was 40, that question almost caused her to leave the love of her life. Maybe the love of her life, the trans man she is with, once a seeming lesbian, now her husband, always her beloved, her person, her one. Maybe he doesn't stake his identity on hers. Maybe one Valentine's Day, when he first started transitioning, he gave her a card that said, "Our relationship cannot define who you are. Only you can define who you are." Maybe she had trouble defining herself long before she met him. Maybe when she was a little girl, she wondered why all the Disney movies had to end with a handsome prince instead of two beautiful princesses together. Maybe because she was born into a conservative Catholic family in a small Iowa town, she kept this question to herself. Because maybe, even though she had never heard the word taboo, she understood it fully. Maybe when she was a freshman at St. Mary, an all-women's college, she cuddled every night with a senior. Maybe this senior, bold as she was, did not call herself a lesbian. Maybe none of the women there did. Maybe it wasn't until she was in grad school that she met women who happily and proudly called themselves lesbian. But maybe by then she was in a relationship with a guy, a cisgender guy, although back then no one knew the word cisgender. Maybe her parents pressured them to marry. Maybe the cisgender guy pressured her to stay married. Maybe he called her bisexual. Maybe she called herself a lesbian and she divorced him. Maybe before the divorce, but during the separation, the word lesbian fueled her as she kissed a woman for the first time, made love with a woman for the first time, made sense of herself for the first time. Maybe by the time she left this woman and met her beloved, her person, her one, maybe she cherished her lesbian identity as if it were a Patronus straight out of Harry Potter. Maybe she thought it protected her from all things patriarchal or otherwise dangerous and unpleasant. Maybe 5 or 6 years later, when her beloved, her person, her one, started coming out as a trans man, she feared that she would lose her lesbian identity, her magic. Maybe she almost left her beloved, her person, her one. Maybe she almost bailed on what has become 30 glorious and enchanting years together. Maybe now, when she calls herself a lesbian, it means both more and less than it used to. Maybe she sometimes calls herself queer, especially if she is around those who want to erase her beloved, her person, her one. Maybe she sometimes calls herself queer in solidarity with some of her students. But maybe she also loves her own history, the memories that live between her ears, between her years. Maybe her memories will not allow her to take lesbian representation for granted. Maybe she still hungers for glimpses of women like herself. Maybe she needs to speak her truth. So maybe that is how a woman who is with a trans man can call herself a lesbian.
Thank you so much, Mary. It's a fabulous piece. I'm so glad we had the opportunity to publish it. We're talking about Sinister Wisdom 132, the title from Mary Vermillion's piece, How Can a Woman Who is with a Trans Man Call Herself a Lesbian? Our next reader I'm thrilled to invite is Suzanne DeWitt Hall, who goes by Zan. Zan is going to read her piece from Sinister Wisdom 132. Zan, please.
Thank you so much. My piece is, well, it's actually a condensed version of what's printed, just because I can't keep y'all all night. But it's called A Name Like Chocolate, Melting on My Tongue. When I first met my transgender spouse, Declan, I was still a girl, not by age, but by assignment at birth and enculturation. My hair was long, my heels high, and makeup was a requirement before leaving the house. Declan was never a girl, though he wore bras he hated, gave up dreams of being a ball player, and did his best pretending to be someone he wasn't. When we met, we were both married to men and proud of ourselves for performing the role of excellent wife. We became deep friends, and then we fell in love. For as long as I can remember, my mother proclaimed, "Your name is Suzanne, not Sue, not Susan, Suzanne." The etymology of Suzanne is graceful lily, a soft bending thing implying fragrant fragility. I did my best to conform to that image. Years ago, a male client sang Leonard Cohen's Suzanne to me the first time we spoke. I did what was expected and tittered in response, performing the role of bending lily according to the shape of my name and the generations of cultural expectations which traveled with it. Rejection of those expectations has been slow, unobservable without time-lapse captures. Suzanne. I love reading old cookbooks, which include the names of people who submitted recipes. In some, women list their husbands' names rather than their own, merely planting Mrs. in front. Mrs. Richard Dickinson. The identities of these women who lived, cooked, and loved has been erased as if there was no existence outside marriage. Declan and I have been through several name changes together. First, when we divorced our exes, and again when we married. We each took the other's last name as a mutual offering of histories, of identity, of self. When my beloved pondered what his true name was, the sound arrived as epiphany, Declan. Its truth settled around him, a mantle of affirmation, a source of power. Declan's mom struggles with this. Many parents feel like something is stolen when a birth name is rejected, as if the act of naming gives them possession over our beings. Her name is Suzanne, my mother demanded. For years, I called my beloved Dolce, an Italian word meaning sweet or dessert. The nickname felt true, his presence a reward for having choked down a lifetime of soul-scouring struggle. Declan made me realize life could be delicious. Dolce, my Dolce. The word was like chocolate melting on my tongue. Transgender people understand the significance of names better than most. They endure an ongoing reality of being called something which is out of sync with their essential beings. But Declan was always Declan, no matter what his parents called him. The name Dolce is still true and yet no longer fits. He'll always be chocolate, but tempered, poured out, and molded into a shape of his ongoing making. He's himself now, even if his name doesn't conform to anyone's sense of ownership or of previous understanding, even mine. When I was a teenager, I rebelled against my mother and asked people to call me Zan. I liked the strength of the nickname. Zan sounds like a superhero, whereas the soft susurration of the Sue in front of Zan transforms it into lily-like submission. Decades later, I abandoned Zan when I left my ex-husband because the power I'd experienced dissolved in the acidity of our marriage, eroded by the loudness of my insufficiency each time he spoke it. But I'm done defining myself by what others cling to or expect, a creature formed in their own image making. I'm ready to reclaim it. Zan. As Declan explores the kind of man he wants to be, I'm invited to examine my own gender and name. Today, my hair is short, my heels low, and makeup optional. I'm still figuring out what any of that stuff means, but I know one thing. I want to be like Declan. I want to be like chocolate melting on his tongue.
Thank you so much, Zan. That was wonderful. Quickly before I bring on our next reader, I don't see LaRose Felicity. LaRose, if you're here under another name, send me a little message so that I know that you're here for the reading. Our next reader is a returning contributor and favorite performer here at Sinister Wisdom. For our Zoom series, I'd like to welcome Kimberly Dark. Kimberly, will you now join us and read from your piece in this issue?
It's my pleasure, Julie. Thanks so much. So this essay's title, Slow and Weird, it refers to a comment that my trans partner made once about sex, about how some women like it slow and weird in a way he doesn't understand. And, you know, this felt like a good metaphor to me for social change as well. So I'm going to read an excerpt from this essay that comes from the end, but hopefully knowing the origin of this phrase gives you enough understanding of its repetition here. You know, I don't mind the word bisexual, but it's somehow not political enough for me. And I'm old enough that femdyke means something to me about my own intentionality of gender and sexual orientation. At my age, I feel the desire to insert rather forcefully that I am not a trans exclusionary sort of lesbian. I can't even call this radical feminism because the definition is incorrect and it offends me to cede that term. Sex is important to me, and so are the humans with whom I have sex, whether they call themselves trans men or women or cis men or lesbians or androgynous or non-binary. So, you know, some of these are a matter of time and place anyway. Sadly, I do know some who like a good rogering in bed, but still won't name and protect the people and desires they love. Queer folks can be homophobic too, and misogynist. I recall learning that the woman who organized the Butch Femme social group I sometimes attended back in the 90s, she was disgusted by the idea of butch pairings. Too homo for her, it seemed. Whereas Butch Femme was straight attraction, I suppose. I had never seen it that way before, but it depends in part on how you come to what you do, how you feel, who you do it with. You know, there's nothing slow and weird happening in our bedroom, at least not now. We are gusto and gustatory, eclectic and ecstatic. We manage joy and grief for the fact of our multiple abuses and ways we have denied and returned to these bodies, how that is both personal and social. But the work of repair that we do, that's intimate. Repair and returning are iterative. And that lit up current to commit those acts crackles between us and sometimes arcs above us in inclusive ways that I just can't comment on. Not just love, but the fucking too can be bigger than us. It is profoundly rooted and also unhinged at the same time. By offering what words I can, I invite others to trace these metaphors back to their own actions, sensations, and understanding. In what is gender and sex rooted And from what is it unhinged? The discussions are important too. I'm serious in the sentiment that we are helping to repair the world as well. You know, knowing everything about identity and relationship is going to be slow and weird and maybe impossible. I mean, how my queerness and his queerness coincide and co-construct can teach us things. I mean, we could both identify as straight now, one man, one woman, but we don't on purpose. I mean, I can't fathom claiming that terrain, thereby losing whole universes of hard-won possibility. A lot of things about gender and politics and pornography and consumerism and the external gaze are going to change slow and weird. But I will still take fast and certain, at least one-on-one, whenever we can figure out how to make it. Thanks for having me, all. Thanks, Sinister Wisdom.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. It's always a delight to share in your words and your performances. I'm now going to bring Allison back to read from Minnie Bruce Pratt's piece.
Thank you so much. And just thank you, Julie, for bringing us all together and for this amazing thing that you do for all of us. I'm going to read a section sort of from the middle, and it's titled, When the Writer Comes. Leslie says when she sees me for the first time, I'm standing looking down at some political pamphlets. I am reading one of them, The Roots of Gay and Lesbian Oppression, and she thinks, there is a woman whose mind rides her body like a rider rides a horse. When she first comes to visit me, I see her out in my backyard at the picnic table underneath the apple tree. I walk barefooted over the crispy, dry grass to sit with her. I scoot up beside her, my bare feet on the table. She admires my long legs, and I pridefully say, yes, strong enough to be good at riding horses. How I love the power to direct their gait, slant, stop, and begin. Then she jokes, good at what you do with butches too? My oblique face, my I don't know, my looking away, my not knowing. I am waiting for her in a room down a long corridor. I am on the far side of an empty room, like every classroom I've ever worked in, sitting in one of those flimsy plastic stackable chairs. I hear the clack clack of her boots as she walks down the hallway. I am hearing the writer coming. My destiny, my desire, my fate, my future coming toward me. That which is grander than sexual love, than romantic love. Here she comes through the door, very serious, toward me down the length of the room, over the worn down, scuffed linoleum. She comes right up next to me and kneels down. We're eye to eye now, and she says, matter of fact and questioning, I think I'm falling in love with you. And was that before or after she says, we're acting like we're married? What are we going to do? I don't know what I feel. She is so strange and so familiar. A person who seems to be from home, someone who knows me and someone I've never known before. Inside me, I am hollow. There is nothing made up in me from my life before that can answer her. There is no love dazzle. There is no carried away. It's just me and Leslie alone in a corridor of events yet to be determined. I look at her and she looks at me, together in the emptiness at the beginning of what is not yet. Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Allison. I'm looking at many of you I know from email and social media are very excited about our last reader of the evening, the fabulous Alix Olson, whose reputation precedes her. I also, though, am aware we have a little extra time. We had Marley Miller had to cancel because of a health issue. And so I was going to read Marley's poem since we have a little time, and I don't see La Rose Felicity. And so I won't read La Rose's poem, but I want to just take and a moment and read Marley's piece that is in Sinister Wisdom 132, because the last half of the book is what we call new lesbian writing. And it has some great selections of work by folks. Look, you see how humid it is here in Florida. Oh, my glasses fogging. So I want to read Marley's piece, and then we'll bring Alix on to read from her work. So Marley's piece is called 19 Evening Primroses by Marley Alcina Miller. A mischievous, crooked, underbite smile. Last night's blue eyeliner smudged and fading on her bottom lids. It was the summer I saw 19 evening primroses bloom in real time, stretching their canary yellow petals outward as if they're gracing us with a song. A group of us blew kisses towards them as they shyly opened. Someone told us it helps the process. Her laugh is smoky, and when she plays the accordion, it sounds like Edith Piaf and Janis Joplin had some dreamy love child. Auburn curls tumble downward, cascading on top of closed eyelids as she gets lost in her own song. When I asked her for a CD, she becomes shy about her voice, mentioning haggard breathing in between the notes as the CD was recorded before she kicked her nicotine addiction. I don't tell her that I heard her play 5 years ago and I didn't notice, or maybe didn't care about any of her insecurities. What I remember is the heavy-footed tapping in rhythm she did while singing a sea shanty. I spent most of last night flirting with straight women who will never kiss me. I was falling all over myself, swooning in between gin-flavored hiccups when one of her hands lingered on my knee for an eternity while she laughed. It made me feel like I want to live forever. My body is so hesitant and stagnant, I move with great trepidation through silence. She is some grand show or a performance, the kind you don't want people to talk over, but she doesn't know it. It's Marley Miller's poem from Sinister Wisdom 132. Now we welcome Alix Olson as our final reader of the evening.
Hi, such a pleasure to be in this space, in this community. This is a piece called Refusing Straight. Once upon a time, we mistook straight for a kind of person, a boring breed of breeders, diamond rings and picket fences. You were everything we'd rejected, all the normal we resented, relentless in convention. You were in our queer way. We were confronting gendered bathrooms. We were training to be multiple. If you were straight, then you were culpable. It was all about your assumptions. Do you have a boyfriend, honey? What's your boyfriend's name? The presumptions and the shame. Was it something I said to you? Maybe something I read to you? The judgment and forgetting, no +1 to the wedding. Straight was the people who asked which one of us wore the pants. And then when we laughed, neither if we're doing it right, they didn't get it. Straight was the people who didn't get it, and we didn't really want them to. We carried comebacks like tasers tucked inside our cheeks. We policed straight in defense of our lives. But we mistook straight for people instead of vision. You're not thinking straight. Get your head on straight. Bracketed vision, straight jacket's vision can only see what is straight ahead. It sees justice in a courtroom, possibility in statistics. Get your facts straight. Let's get one thing straight. Panicked by division, deviation, interruption, imprecision, straight vision doesn't dream of other worlds, of other ways. We mistook straight for people, not order. The ordinary order of things, proper order, plots the dots, here to there, straight shot. It doesn't make pit stops to let you pee or ask directions with the speed of logic and reason. It promises way your billion brilliant possibilities. Point birth, point death. Sacrifice success, no breath, no time for saying wait up, no time for saying hold up when you are all one way. Velocity, straight time is cruel and usual. It's about time, straight, isn't it? About time. We mistook straight for people instead of sequence. Straight sequence disfigures and disorders, moves history forward by clear-cutting all that could stumble us, might humble us. Read how we've progressed. Now repeat that we are the best. Straight sequence cheerleads and organizes, postures and proselytizes. We mistook straight for people instead of business. Straight means business. It stakes its claim in white, makes a wager on white, sustains its share of white, takes hold of whose lives matter, who needs to claim to matter, to cling to the matter, name the color of the matter. Straight business is deadly. We mistook straight for people, not production of truth. See, straight rebukes what coils and twists, insists that Trump would give it to you straight, look you straight in the eye, shoot straight from the hip, get straight to the heart of the matter. No qualms, no reservations, no suspicious hesitations, no fancy information or history lessons, no tricky verbs or elitist big words, only clear-cut demands and straightforward stands, only straight talkers talking straight talk. We mistook straight for a kind of person. As if any one being could be any one thing. What a disservice to magic. How tragic to call any being straight. Straight as an arrow, straight but not narrow. We mistook straight for people, not power. Straight is the HRC, brutal equality, power lines that strangle with their intimate parallel force. See, straight was never narrow. It widens and accommodates. It despises as it tolerates. In order to stay tidy, it cleans up and legitimates. Straight is the stick figure family on the back of the car. The kids play lacrosse, the moms play guitar. Life is good. We're so glad life is so fucking good for you. But refusing straight might mean not settling for that good life, might mean unsettling some forms of good life, might mean refusing to be organized like that, might mean letting down the team, stepping out of party line, disrupting progress, bankrupting the profits of white. Refusing straight might mean refusing to uncomplicate your vision, might mean your mission statement is a question, might mean insisting that no order is a given, might mean committing to crooked as a practice, to not knowing what will come next, might make you ache for the days when kissing was a protest, was the scene of moral panic, when our slogans made us horny, when our fucking made them frantic, when a rainbow sticker was still a secret wink or a middle finger, when the tribe was comprised of avengers, not brides. Refusing straight might make you ache for the days when straight meant them versus us, when our us felt obvious, when our us felt dangerous, when straight meant straight people, confounding straight men, converting straight girls, before refusing straight meant taking on the fucking world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alix. Now, everyone knows why there was a social media joyful shout about Alix Olson joining us this evening. I thank you all for coming to join us tonight to celebrate Sinister Wisdom 132. The video from this evening's event will be available at sinisterwisdom.org/SW132 tomorrow or Thursday. We'll put the link in the chat. We have one more Zoom event happening this season in May, a panel of lesbian mystery writers that we're co-sponsoring with Karis Books and More. It is going to be phenomenal. Sign up and get more information at sinisterwisdom.org/events. After our May event, we will take our customary summer break. The full slate of events for 2024-2025 will be announced in early August through an email from Sinister Wisdom and a video. And I can tell you I'm working on some incredible events and cannot wait to share them all with you. But now, before we end tonight, we will dance. Chloe, will you share the music?
Stop the lying and denying and come on and give it a shot.
Thank you all. We'll see you in a little over a month for our mystery panel, and have a great evening.